going out there, YouTube? It's going to be down coming to you from Matsuri, Japan, Pinku style, garage, and all that good stuff. It's going to be podcast number 31. Before I get into it, this is probably going to be like kind of like a test run for my first ad right here. Actually, it's not an advertisement because we don't have anything. What the company and myself don't have anything contractual agreement and stuff like that. I'm just doing this because the company's been pretty cool. And the product actually really works. So right here, what I got to my right here is CBD oil. I am in Japan, and there's this misnomer about getting CBD oil inside of Japan, and it actually it's been approved. Earlier this year, they had some meetings and things like that, and got CBD oil with zero THC to about 0. So if it's 0.3. It's still 0, whatever. Not really, but it is. It's enough to get into Japan. So anyway, this is CBD oil by Hoplite Collective. It's provided to me by the guys down in Okinawa or Tokyo-based company down there, just called CBD Oil Japan. I've been running the CBD oil. I started about maybe 3 months ago, and the reason I waited a while to actually put it online was I don't like to guys out there with the car stuff. I don't like to promote anything that I haven't used already. And I wanted to see if this stuff really works. I suffer from chronic joint pain, back pains, and different things from sports and high school, college. And I still do jiu-jitsu and judo right now, and also combat stuff. So there's a few things far as bone-on-bone things that can't be fixed with surgery. It just is what it is. But I use this CBD oil right here, and it really relieves pain. I thought it was like maybe a placebo effect, but I did a few tests. I stopped using it, and then I got right back on it, and then it's good to go. So definitely check it out. Just some notes about it again. I'll read up the thing right here. It is provided by CBD Oil Japan. There's 7 different blends, 1 for animals and 6 for humans, and they range. If I pull up the page right here in a second, as you can see right here, you got Muse, Creator, Healer, Dreamer, and Basic. And there's various different ones. For example, for Healer. Healer right here. I'm using the Healer. It's to relieve, recover, restore. Basic, just like I said, simple, safe, and effective, which you start out when you first start with 300 milligrams. And then you got the Creator, which I use in the morning, which is for clarity, focus, and drive. And I use these, and I have experienced various different degrees of relief and stuff like that. So CBD oil is definitely one of those misnomer things out there. And it's definitely a real thing. So again, this is not really like an ad. Ad will be more shorter, but this, for health stuff out there, you guys want to look into some stuff in Japan. If things go proper, I might become a dealer for this particular company here and up here, and get it out there to spend. So this kind of knocking it out again is Hoplite Collective CBD oil, and go ahead and check those guys out. And if you want, again, right now not official, but we will work on it in the future. So getting right into this podcast, which a lot of guys out there, you guys been saying like, hey man, I've been getting a lot of unusual data, because a lot of guys, when we only generally talk about cars because this is a performance shop. But I mean, like I said before, myself and everybody else that I deal with, I know I'm more deeper than cars. I mean, some guys live, breathe, and all that stuff. It's part of my life majorly, but I do other things in between cars. I love cars a lot. They excite me, but I like jiu-jitsu. I like move. I like, making music and different things like that. So I'm not one of those eat, sleep, and breathe car guys, but I mean, it is part of my life. I'm coming from a car show right now, so it should make kind of sense. But this episode is going to be more so about drifting, pretty much all drifting. Kind of starting off with what's hot in media right now is the Bisu Matsuri, the post of Kubo-san, or somebody at Team Bisu made. The main thing we want to talk about here, and this thing is the thing that's been shared around. It's about 500 and something shares. If I go down and look right now, it's about 589 shares. One of those are mine. And this is just intel with not the damage, but just the amount of trash that was left behind by guys, at a BSU right now. And what's going on right now across the internet is everybody's like pointing their fingers at who didn't leave the stuff there. Doesn't really matter who did or did not leave the stuff there. It's just, it was left there. The thing about it, to be straight up, again, this is everybody's like, oh, the Americans did it. And I posted something that seemed like it was pointing at my fingers at Australia and New Zealand guys. Well, not my statement was just meaning that if you look at the fucking G1 GP, if you look at the attendance there's more gaijins from other places outside of America. Americans are here via military, but it's only like a handful of dudes that go to the event. So when you look at the scale of things, if you like looked at the nations that are there, those are the guys that occupy the most. And if you look at it, the majority of the people who's going to be there, that's going to cause any kind of issues as far as driving missiles in town and doing different things. So I got Australian buddies, I got New Zealand buddies. I'm not pointing anybody out. Now everybody's trying to stick up for their country and say who does what. I'm an American living in Japan, and I've been living there for the last 11 years with no intentions of going back. I'm proud to be an American, but I don't want to live in America. So just take that, with a grain of salt. Pretty much, I'm not saying, Americans are not, Americans can't litter and dirty shit up. Of course, everybody can litter and dirty stuff up. But what's going on at the BC, pretty much the reason why I generally don't talk about current events and the reason why I talk about this is because I live here in Japan. Again, I've been there for 11 years. A lot of things that gaijins come here and do, they don't really see the effects of it. They come here, they party, they trash, they leave and go home. The gaijins that are left here and living in Japan, kind of, they get the brunt of they get the brunt of the actions that you guys put out. So we get the the shitty looks from people, or being like told no, we can't do certain things. And this comes from gaijins that have been there for a long time. Again, I bring up Andy, Emily, myself, that's been here for a long time. In our respective areas, we're known. But when we go to different prefectures and people don't know you, they group everybody in the same group. It doesn't matter if you've been here 25 years. You're only known in that little circle you're in, unless you travel a lot and unless you're a celebrity that's on TV all the time. And even still, they don't know those guys. So they kind of assume that all gaijins are like the people on TV, the famous gaijins here in Japan. So that's not the case. But I'm kind of ranting because doesn't really make sense here. But in a nutshell, it doesn't matter who did what, who left what. I guarantee you there was probably some Japanese guys that left some stuff there. Japanese guys, they're not all noble and peaceful and stuff like that. There's some dickhead Japanese guys that are up to no good. They do stuff. And when you get in that environment, the Japanese guys that are like that, when they get around others in different areas like that, they kind of really tend to really act out. So yeah, they probably left some shit out there, left some tires out there, left trash out there and things like that. So it's not saying that they're above what is it? They're not above doing bad stuff and stuff like that. But the census is out there that there's more gaijins doing stuff than it is Japanese. So like my buddy Yoshi pointed out, they didn't say specifically that gaijins did it, but you can see in the subtle text as he pointed out that it definitely was aimed towards gaijins. So you just gotta take it like that, man. Everybody's gonna say what they're gonna say. Everybody's they posting all the stuff online about what it is, but it just comes down to it. Case in point is, if you're gaijin in Japan, you're not Japanese, and it doesn't matter how long you're here. And that's just one thing a lot of people got to get over. It doesn't matter. They don't care about black, white, Chinese, whatever. You're not Japanese. Well, I like to jokingly say, if you're not Tanaka, it does not matter. It does not matter at all where you come from. You're not Japanese. So the guys that are Japanese, and people saying, like the Japanese guy has left things behind, they're Japanese living in Japan. So that, again, that doesn't matter. They're Japanese living in Japan. It's just like when you see Japanese guys, getting busted for stuff. Like the dude, the Carlos, whatever the guy for Nissan, got busted for doing some stuff or whatever. He got locked up or whatever. If this guy was Japanese, he would have been slapped on the wrist and everything would have been brushed out on the carpet. It probably wouldn't have been brought up because that's a foreigner guy at the head of a Japanese company. They're going to play nice and have the poker face and stuff like that, but they don't want that. They want a Japanese individual at the head of their company, which is a Japanese company, Nissan. So, of course, if that guy does anything wrong, they're going to get on him and make sure they make an example, get him out of there. So I haven't looked up the situation with that guy. I don't know what the hell's going on, but as far as I know, I think maybe still in jail or out of jail, or I don't know what's going on with that situation. But what I'm talking about, for the guys who don't know, I forgot the guy's name, but if you look up the president for Nissan, it was a gentleman from Brazil, I believe, and something like that. He is a foreigner running at the head of a Japanese company, and I can, being in Japan, again, nice people, but very prideful. They're not boastful like, Americans, Europeans, Australians, things like that. They don't say like, we're the best and stuff like that. But there's a lot of things that they do. A lot of snide. I mean, the guys who've been here, you'll see, Japanese guys looking at your car up and down. And it's a practice car. And you're looking at it like, oh yeah, that car sucks. They won't say it right directly to you, but they'll get in their little groups, talk shit. But they're not like Americans, where Americans, Australians, or guys who would just outrightly say, hey man, your car sucks. What the hell are you doing? So Japanese, don't get it wrong, man. Nice, pleasant, clean. There's some dirty spots here. I mean, normally around the construction areas and work areas and like, rest stop areas where a lot of truckers congregate, a lot of pee bottles, but that's a small area. The whole Japan as a whole, man, is very clean, very pleasant, but just don't get the misconception that Japanese are not humans. Humans do human stuff all over the world. It's all the same stuff, just a little bit of different colors, little different mannerisms, but it's all the same. So I really don't want to beat that up too much. It's just my take on it. Again, I kind of was all over the place with it because, again, it doesn't honestly. I mean, yeah, it happened, but it just doesn't. It's not something that's going to make my day worse. I know when I go there, again, I've done roughly 9 Matsuris. I lost count, to be honest. I had to go back and check the numbers, but I know I've done at least 8. And every time I went to Matsuri, I generated tires, I generated trash. I packed all my trash up and left. Every time I left Matsuri, my pit was clean. Those guys know me, so if they know that where I was pitting at, it was all dirty, they would get with me. Some guys who are, more prominent in the scene were contacted because people who were associated with them were some of the perpetrators. And again, people are busy, guys leave and do different things, man. But I've never seen in my own eyes it beats you look like these pictures, man, with shit in the pitch like that at Nishi West Course, which is very popular. That's where a lot of tires and trash were left. Dudes breaking cars, oil everywhere, man. It's just these guys, man. They opening up the track for pretty much a day and a half with straight drifting, and they're tired. And at the end of Matsuri, they want to kick up and go home. So I'm pretty sure. Somebody, they get paid the same rate or whatever they get paid there. The staff at the BSU, and they had to clean all that stuff up, man, at the expense of you guys leaving all that shit there. So, if you're watching this and you guys are definitely the ones that left that stuff behind, definitely bad shit, man. There's no way around it. There's no excuse for it. Some guys are saying, well, we don't know where the bins are. When I don't know how they do now for power vehicles or whatever, but when I had scrap tires, I got with Andy and paid him a fee to leave the tires there, or I got with the staff at a BSU and paid them a fee, which is like 300 yen or something like that to dispose of the tires. So there are places, and also you got the Sideways X guys, all those guys down there at the what's the Higashi course, Higashi. Yeah, Higashi. No, Higashi. Yeah, Higashi. Higashi is east. So you got the guys over there who can dispose of tires. So there's multiple ways. Maybe they can do a better, maybe have a big one of those big, the big, containers for like trash, and you could throw your stuff in there. That would be, cool thing to do. Like some guys pointing out, have that put into the fee or whatever. But it's already been raised up because of taxes. They don't want to raise the price up too much more to make guys not come. BSU is good between a zoo and all area events. BSU is good, so they can cut Matsuri out completely and be good. It would affect power vehicles for sure if they cut Matsuri out. But what's going to happen, man? You guys are going to mess up these guys' business, mess up a lot of different things for good people. A good thing that's going. Again, I stayed away personally from Matsuri again because when I went, I did my first one in 2009. 2009 was my first Matsuri, and I believe actually my first Matsuri was actually also the first G1 GP because I was asleep at the school course and they was like, hey man, there's all these Gaijins here. Let's have a Gaijin drift event. And that was the first G1 GP that just kind of happened out of the blue. And then after that, it became a regular event. And then soon after that, it became an event where you can get D1 street legal license. And then, use that as a springboard to different events and everything. So, it is what it is. I'm personally not interested in it anymore because I live here in Japan. It was a thing to do when I was not, when I was, in the military and I was set to leave and everything. So it was just like, all right, let me get all these Matsuris or whatever. But now that I live here, in Japan, it's just not a big deal to me. I can go to BSU. BSU is 5 hours south from where I'm sitting at right now. BSU is 5 hours. I can drive down to BSU and back here in the same day. So it's just not something that I have to be there. I don't care about crowds because my military PTSD. So I'd rather honestly not be around large crowds. So unless it's a group of buddies going there, I just do not have to be there to beat you. So that's why for the guys asking, man, why you don't come anymore? To be brutally honest, man, because you guys who do know me. I just don't have, I don't understand acting like a fucking tough guy. And there's a lot of dudes go there, they fucking look you up and down and everything. And I'm like, look, man, if there's a problem, I don't know what I mean. Maybe you're not used to being around seeing black guys or whatever. I went up to a group of guys before once and spoke, and they just all fucking looked at me. I'm like, all right, well, fuck, I didn't say it. I was like, all right, well, maybe it's a problem. I said something wrong by saying hello, but I made that a fact to not speak to them guys again. And then, some people came back and told me they were like, who is this guy? Whatever. It don't fucking matter who I am. I'm a human being, and I'm speaking to you. And I came into your presence. I spoke first. I don't like, rude people come into a group of people and they don't speak. I came into a group of guys who I was actually this particularly I can slow down a little bit. This particular situation, I came to a BSU, I think it was 2012, 2013. It was in between the time when I was getting out. Yeah, it was like I was getting out of the military, so I definitely didn't have cash to do Matsuri. It was 2012. So I went and covered the what was it? It was the I had on my YouTube is a full coverage of one round of G1 GP from start to finish. I covered the whole thing. It sucked because I hate watching people drift. I just don't like it. And anyway, when I first got there, it was around the time when power vehicles was about to move down to the bottom. They were really, really expanding quickly. And, when you guys first been there around 08, 09, everything with power vehicles was all in the one top spot. And it wasn't that many cars. And then I think they were moving, and in the process, Suzuki-san was moving out of that spot down there, and Andy and those guys moved in. So they were setting things up to get everything ready to go down there. So there was like, Andy was getting more staff, and I had disappeared for like a year or two, so guys didn't really know me. And I came down there, I was in the car, I got out the car, I walked up to a group of guys. Hey, how's it going? Anybody, is Andy here? Fucking silence. They just looking at me like everybody in that group, man. It was at least 12 guys, man. So I looked at each one of those guys in the eyes, like, kind of like this. I don't know what I said, but I said something. And then one of my guys, Anton, he was like, hey, man, he came over a little bit after. And the guys to Anton told me that who's this brown guy or black guy or whatever. And this was a group of Australian dudes. And Anton's like, man, Donnie's like, he's a chill guy, man. And after that, the same group of dudes that were being a dick to me later on that evening, one of them like kind of apologized to me. Because he was like, we didn't know you or whatever. And then Anton was like sticking up for me and shit. So like that was cool of him to do. But I don't know how the situation is in Australia. Again, I met Stewie, Pickering, Jay, all these other guys out there, CC, all those dudes, man, and they were awesome guys. And so my my idea of how Australians are for those guys are just cool fucking dudes. They're like you guys are pretty much like Americans with an accent. That's the way I see it. But then I was told like, yeah, in Australia, there's not a lot of, black guys at all. And the brown guys, black guys are there, like they're Aborigines or whatever. All that shit don't mean nothing to me. Again, I walked to a group of guys and was greeted like, pretty much I greeted them, hello. And there was fucking zero response. And at that point, man, it was a turning point to me of like how Ibisu Matsuri was changing from a friendly environment to a hostile environment, a very cliquish environment, and something that was like my crew is better than your crew environment. I just seen it even the last one I went, man, it was the same shit, man. I thought it would get better, but it was the same stuff. And here's the thing, man. And I say again, not trying to be a tough guy, but hey, man, if you want to fucking act like a tough guy and present yourself like that, stick your chest out there. When you meet somebody who's as tough as you or tougher and can knock your fucking head off, you'll learn to calm down. Most guys, and this is kind of going to my MMA jiu-jitsu thing. A lot of dudes who fight MMA, fight jiu-jitsu. I train MMA, I train jiu-jitsu, I train judo. Guys like that, they don't walk around trying to portray that they're badasses, because we know what we can do to people. The only people that are a danger to us are those who train at the same level or higher. Those are the only people out there that are a danger. If a fight breaks out, the first thing a lot of guys start doing is just fucking throwing hands or whatever. When a fight breaks out between somebody who's experienced, you back the fuck up. You regain your composure, out of what happened, and you're accessing the person, just throwing movements or whatever you're doing. You don't just start going wild throwing haymakers and stuff like that. You stand your ground and you wait for that guy to do stupid shit. throw whatever he's going to throw. You stand by, you slip him, you knock him out. You want to end a fight as quick as possible, but this is not about, getting in fights. It shouldn't be like that. We're here in a BC Matsuri to drift, and the guys are just there acting a fool, man. And I just don't understand it. And it's like we go there. You leave. Number one, I'm more at home than you are because I live here in Japan. So you're coming from a different country and you're just acting like a fucking jackass, man. And, again, you got maybe somebody out there is watching this and you feel like it's been targeted to you. If you're one of those guys, then yeah, I'm talking to you. It's just, there's no need for it. And then it's as long as that attitude stays that way in my city, I'll stay away. I'll do my drift things. I just don't have to be there after you leave and you guys are all gone and all the fucking trash is left there. If it's still going to be the same thing, I'll do my thing and drift. I don't need all these cameras. I don't need all these guys here to do drifting. That's just not my style. I've been here again since 08. I used to record all my drift days, and a lot of guys were like, "Oh man, it's nice to see you came back to drifting." I never left. I just stopped recording, man. After about 300 videos or 200 videos of me drifting in MSP, who the fuck cares? Who really cares? I don't. I don't care. I wouldn't care to watch somebody drift the same track over and over. I mean, if I go to a new track, yeah, I'll throw up a video because I haven't drifted at Mihan. If I go to Fuji, I'll throw up a clip of me drifting at Fuji, but that's it. The same video over and over and over. I don't have to do that. I can go to MSP 7 days a week if I wanted to drift. Seriously. So having that thing, I mean, I've done so much seat time that I can not drift in 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Hop in the car, do a few laps, and right back in it. And that comes with being proficient at something. And that's where the whole pro stuff comes in. Everybody makes a big deal about being a pro this or pro that. Pro this means you're proficient at whatever the fuck it is you do. If you're a professional skelly or a professional checker player, you're just very proficient at what you do. That word it seems like some people use it to hold more weight than it should hold. Yeah, I had pro drift license on the King of Asia, but like I told you guys, I can't go to D1 GP and enter the competition, even though I was in the same fucking competition with Daigo Saito, with fucking Shinji Manawa, with who else was there? Who else was at the event? Nakamura, all those guys, man. I was in the same event with those dudes, and I can't enter another event with those guys because I don't have a piece of plastic. And to be honest, I'm over it. It's not being drifting is what it is. I just rather go back towards grip because drifting, you're playing by something that's judged, and grip, you're against the clock, and if it's will, you're against other cars and stuff like that. So, nothing against, I always, not saying, don't take it like I hate drifting. It's just, I'm not taking time out of my, busting my ass and all that stuff like that just to go fucking 8 hours away from home just to be judged by a group of guys who already have a misconception about who I am and what I do because, what they seen in the magazine or how I talk to somebody or how I talk to their friend. The thing about it, man, respect is one thing, because this is kind of segueing into some other stuff I'm going to talk about here. Respect is one thing, but the thing about it is, I respect Japan. I've always done right by Japan, but the thing about it, I don't play Japan games, meaning, just because somebody seems higher up or whatever, meaning like you should go over to them and bend over backwards and act like a fucking jester and do different things. Like I don't do that. That's not the way I operate. That's not the way I run my life. I treat every man out there with the same respect. It doesn't matter. Like I was telling my buddy today in Lawson's with this podcast stuff, I've talked to somebody about being guests on the podcast, to bring their ideas and things to it. So I'm not just talking about myself. And, there's some guys right now, it's not making any noise right now. It's a new thing. And, they're like, oh, nah, I don't have time for that or whatever. And then, what's going to happen? This is going to grow. It is, because, I think it's a good thing. I've been getting good feedback about it. And people have been like messaging me and saying different things, my messengers saying they want to be on it and stuff like that. And so it's definitely going to grow. But when it grows, those same guys are going to see the podcast and they want to get on it. And I'm going to say a firm no. Because the thing about it, if you're going to say no to me right now in episode 31, why the fuck would I let you on in episode number 231 when everything is going up and I'm getting more views and there's getting more shared and stuff like that? If you didn't have the consideration to come in when I'm at podcast number 31, that means I'm not important to you. And the thing about it, I don't put anybody I deal with in an importance level. I don't rank anybody like he's more important than him. people, they'll say that's how it's supposed to be, but no, everybody straight across to me. Donald Jackson right here, I don't care about how you do your shit, but with me, everybody is straight across the same. Same respect, same everything. And the thing about it, you're going to come at me the same way, the same respect. The same way I give out the respect to you, you're going to come at me that way. If you're already disrespecting me, you're already where everybody's at the same level, you're already kind of going below that level when you're coming at me disrespectful, because again, you're coming into my life. I didn't, with this business thing, a lot of guys, when you contact me, you're coming, not only my business, you're coming into my life. I didn't search your name and then message you and see you had a Subaru. Say, hey man, how's your exhaust doing? Like, I don't do that. That's soliciting. I don't solicit anybody. So when you make contact with me, like, you need to understand that you're coming into my life. My life is already in motion. My life doesn't start when you contact me. So it's like, hey man, you got to fucking wait your time. And some guys just can't handle that, and they feel like, I should be more. There was a recent situation where some guy came through town and stopped by the shop. I'll talk about it now because the dude hasn't messaged me back. I'm out $125. I'm not going to break up his name because it's not significant, but the guy stopped by my shop, and it was a pleasant conversation and everything. And the conversation ended with, he flew over from the States, got a car, drove up and down, Japan. Conversation, I showed him around the shop, which I was actually rushing, so I took time out of that to show because he was a visitor, not from Misawa. Showed him around the shop, we talked, and the last thing we ended with was like, hey man, could you change the brakes? I was like, straight up, right? I can't do it right now because 24 hours from now I'm going to be in Yokohama. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll get the brake pads. I felt, in my style normally here, everybody knows I don't order parts up front, but I will order parts if we've done work before and it's under $100. These were actually about $125 to $130 total with the shipping and stuff like that, a little bit more. So I went ahead and ordered the things, man, because generally you judge people by you talk to them. I felt kind of warm about the guy, what he was saying, what he did, the stuff he was involved in, and ordered the pads, and then I asked the guy to email me. And then he hit me up on Instagram, which I seen 4 days after the fact, and stating that this was more convenient. I'm like, look, man, it doesn't matter what's more convenient for you. I'm telling you the directives of my business. If you can't follow that, you're already 4 days behind. So when I see the message, which I don't check Instagram because it's even worse than Facebook for messaging and stuff like that, I don't check it. So I asked the email. So he finally emailed me. Then I sent him a full email back, stating how my business is run and things like that. Obviously, he didn't like that. He didn't like that I didn't bend over backwards and stop what I'm doing. I do not fucking do that at my shop. I don't care who you are. If the president of Japan came up here and needed some shit done, odds are I don't have what he needs to get done. And then I'm just not going to fucking stop what I'm doing to help anybody, because that person that car is on that lift, they waited their time. And you got to respect that. And I'm just not going to do that for anybody. And people who've come here thinking they're going to do like get jump line and stuff like that, it don't work that way, because what you're doing is you're taking me off my task, and I can't deliver on my time, which is going to push me back, So nobody's special. Nobody's exempt for anything. Only people that's exempt from anything is my immediate family. And that's it. Nobody else shit is more exempt, because your shit is not more important than my stuff. My stuff is not more important than your stuff. And I keep kind of bringing that back up because I keep like kind of running into the situations recently with business, with things like that. And I just have to remind people that, again, your stuff is not more important than mine. Mine's not more important than yours. So I'm not going to, come into your life and take over things. So anyway, situation with this particular guy who went around, I sent the guy 2 voice messages and marked seen on Instagram. I sent the guy an email, very, very well written out, no response, which again to me means that, maybe he feel like, again, I should have bent over backwards. If the guy's watching it, maybe you are watching it or whatever. It wasn't anything personal, but it was just, hey man, you came into my lane. You didn't know who I was. You assumed who I was, just probably by looking around my shop and thinking that like, oh, these are all the garbage cars or whatever. I just moved here. All those cars belong to me, and I've used them for over the last 10 years. So they're not built. So some people come here, they look around and like, oh, this guy has like junk cars or whatever. Like, you didn't look in the garage and see like a 600 horsepower car there, a 500 horsepower car was there because my garage was closed that day. So, they don't know what the hell is going on. People are going to judge you based on your just how you appear. And that's not a good thing to do. And kind of like wrapping up the Matsuri thing is I kind of like, I want to say I drifted. I just kind of talk, kind of stay coherent as I can. When they just tying all that stuff back in, the whole Matsuri deal, which I said I was going to end on it like 30 minutes ago. The whole Matsuri deal is pretty much Japanese are going to judge everybody here as a gaijin. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 10 years, 5 weeks, 10 weeks. It doesn't matter. When you're not Japanese, they automatically assume that you are not up to no good. You're not doing things. When the reason why, I'm talking about the subject so long is because it does affect me. And I'm generally, I don't care about things unless it affects me. It affects me because it affects me and reasons why, like, I can't get certain loans. All my receipts and money on paper is good. It's just, different things that transpire, different things that happen. Some Japanese, if a owner of a bank has a bad issue with a gaijin, what do you think he's going to do when he actually talks to a gaijin customer? Nah, fuck off. And they do that. They want to give you the time of day. We've applied for some loans for some business stuff, and straight up no. They didn't want to check my records. They didn't want to check my previous statements to prove magazine entries and stuff like that to prove that I'm above average or whatever. They just don't want to deal with you. So it happens, and it's a really shitty dark part of Japan that a lot of people don't know. That again, I've been here 11 years. I've helped with the earthquake. I've helped with multiple different things. I've only contributed to Japan, as far as other businesses and things like that, taxes, doing everything I had to do in Japan. I've been here 11 years, never been arrested, never been any major trouble, caused any major international incidents, stuff like that. So I've done what I had to do in Japan. So I feel as though, honestly, I shouldn't be looked at the same way as somebody that's coming here for a short amount of time doing dumb shit. And that's my thing on it. So if you came here and you trash stuff, there's no excuse for leaving your fucking tires around. You're a dumbass and you should have got rid of it. And that's my bottom line on that. Take it how you want to take it. If you're offended by it, fix yourself the next time you come here, and you won't have to have that issue. And it is what it is, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and say, oh, you didn't have tire disposal, you didn't have trash. Again, I've been here 9 Matsuris, man. I've never left trash. I pile that shit inside my car, take it back to Masawa, trash it when I get back. Or I know where trash cans are in Matsuri. They're sometimes a little bit full, down by the toilets, down by the concession stands. They get full up pretty quick because they're only those little blue trash can bins. They do get full up pretty quick. So they're by the second day of Matsuri is just overrunning of trash, and the trash crew does clean up. So I've seen them take the trash out. So again, that's not an excuse, man. Take care of your shit, clean up behind yourself, and don't let it happen again. Or Matsuri will go away, and people, business will be affected, power vehicles, and it'll just be bad. So anyway, just moving along. One of the I'm gonna hit on the FIA Drift Cup. So that's coming up here. I'll bring this up in this little window right here. Where my window at right here? So it's going to be the FIA International Drifting Cup, which is coming up here at Tsukuba pretty soon. So I'll go ahead and click on the event info. So it's going to see the about time schedule. And then so the next one is going to be Tsukuba, the 29th of November, which is, what's that? 29th of November is going to be, that's next, that's next 2 Fridays from now, man. So it's coming up pretty quick. So it's going to be, I seen Andy entered, Tony Arakaki entered, stuff like that. It's different representatives and things like that. So yeah, it's a cool thing. I don't know, 2017 is when it was inaugurated and things like that. Then I was down in Tokyo, as you see this picture right here in the background here. So that's where it was inaugurated and things like that for the Drifting Cup. My take on it is, it pretty much the way you got it, the way to get into this event, they're not letting anybody in this event unless you're like a champion or high placing or a notable drifter or somebody that can just buy your way in. Everybody that's pictured there has won a championship in their respective lane or have done pretty well in some different perspective or whatever. It's like that. So pretty much in a nutshell, my thoughts on the International Drift Cup and will I enter it? To be brutally honest, I've been out since 2015. The King of Asia, I don't think is enough to get me into anything like that. So I had to kind of pad my resume, so to speak. So pretty much when I return, I'll be pretty much starting back over, going towards like the, if you guys in the States want to call it like your Pro 2 level, just to get more seat time and then pad the resume. Because again, the King of Asia is just not recognized nationwide. It seemed like it's not going to happen anymore. Because some different disputes and different things that are going on. And so that doesn't hold any weight. So I got to do like, a drift muscle or D1 Lights or something like that, or even a G1 GP, which I talked about, which I will not commit time to G1 GP. Just don't want to deal with the crowd and different things like that that can get your way up into the rankings to get to the point where you can enter to be actually in the deal. So I see Andy went in there, and of course you guys, I think Andy's won the last 3 Formula Drift Japan events. So besides having D1 GP license, like resumes like that, you're a shoo-in. You just sign up, you get in, and you represent. So he'll be representing Scotland, I believe, and he's in Japan and everything, and he's a Japanese citizen. So obviously, I don't think there's anybody. Let me see. Let me pull up this thing right here that was showing anything. So this is going through the entry list right here. Let me see. So just going through the entry list right here. So you're seeing this. They got this is not cooperating with me right now, but it's just like Andrew Gray. It's a few. Actually, one thing I see is he met Mike there. One thing I see is there is becoming another Jap, because there's a lot of Japanese guys in there this time, man. This is not really cooperating with me this time, so I'll fix it and make sure for the next podcast this is good to go. As far as I'm looking right now, I don't see any representatives from the States. And Matsuno's driving it this time. Yeah, man. So let's see, Zai is there. But anyway, this is not working for me this time. I don't think there's any American guys in there this time. Let me move this shit, man. So anyway, I don't know, man. Just kind of fucked that all up. Anyway, it's becoming like a more of a Japanese event. So there's like, Japan versus the world almost, it seems right there, because again, it is hosted in Japan. The FIA coming into the deal with drifting, pretty much recognized drifting as like a international associated whatever sport or whatever. They come in there and they just recognize it. So there's going to be some things coming in. I don't know what the purpose of the FIA Cup is. I wasn't really interested in it because honestly, I know I've seen the requirements to get into it. I don't have those, so again, I want to focus on what I got to do to get up and not worry about stuff I can't control. So I mean, yeah, definitely I'll look at driving in it. I just don't see where they're going to go with it, and this is kind of the reason I brought this up. And I really have much to say about this international drift thing. The reason I brought it up because somebody mentioned recently they was talking about where was it? It was on one of these other groups, and they were talking about of course you guys got D1 GP, Formula Drift Japan, Formula Drift China. I believe you got Philippines. Then they were talking about having an international drift like series, which is like a pure international drift series where there's probably one event in each 7 continents or whatever. Minus Antarctica. So you got the drift series, whatever. The thing about, I was talking about the one guy was bringing up was logistics. I was bringing up logistics because I was a logistics specialist in Air Force, which is why I can do what I do with my shop, with moving the cars around. Logistics is a really big thing. The thing about it, there's probably maybe 1 or 2 guys that will be able to afford to take their car around each place to drift. To kind of like, this is a short topic. It just wouldn't work well because, again, you got all these different guys spread across the world. You got to all get to this one location on time, get practice, and if the car breaks and things like that, their assets are way back where they're from. It's just not a thing that's going to work out well. So the only thing to really do for International Drift Series is just have an event that's open to the world, and then everybody who can come comes. King of Asia has been doing a good job of that, actually having guys from all over. They've been doing events over in Europe, over in the Middle East. And some guys who have the back end have been able to actually go around and do these events. But I mean, myself personally, it's just the other than getting some screen time, it's just not worth it to me to do it personally, because I'm building my own business. Once my business gets to a level I want to be at, yeah, I'll be able to take time away, go do those events. But for me right now, I'm drifting. I'm in Japan. There's a lot to actually go after here. So before I worry about trying to do outside of Japan, I'll do what's available in Japan. Eventually, I've talked to Robbie Nishida about being on the guest on the podcast, and I kind of want to ask him, if he's willing to talk about it, like why did he spend so much time pursuing Formula Drift USA versus D1GP. What is it? If he's willing to talk about it, is it something he's seen? Is something he didn't agree with? Things like that. I mean, to kind of answer some of that stuff for the guys ahead, everybody thinks like D1GP is like this, end all be all of drifting. It was for a long time, but eventually technology allowed the cars to be built. Technology allowed guys to catch up. So now, if you look back, I mentioned a little while ago, Kumakubo went to one of my first podcasts. Kumakubo and some few guys went to Formula Drift, and they were blown away by the technology of the cars, the speed of the cars, and everything. And Kumakubo said right there in his post that he doesn't feel Japan is no longer number one in drifting anymore. And that's a big statement. So it started here, it grew here. Drifting's always been going on somewhere else, but as far as being notarized, it's been notarized here in Japan. Keiichi Tsuchiya was one of the first guys noted of note to do it. But they were stated that there was guys before Tsuchiya did it in this grip events when he was bored. There was guys doing it in the mountains. That's where he bought it from. He learned it in the mountains. So he was just one of those guys that were anointed the Drift King and things like that. So it's just it's just crazy to see in the time span of being here in Japan. Myself, when I left America, I started drifting, but I didn't know how to drift. To be honest, I was just doing little J turns. So I learned how to drift actually in Japan, which again, I was still I was self-taught for the most part. I didn't do my first session until I think it was 2000. What was it, man? It was like 2010, and it was with what was it? Suinaga-san came up from Team Orange. They came up to Ibisu. Not Ibisu, damn it. They came up to MSP. And I was like, hey, man, at that point I was drifting pretty well, holding my own. And I was like, I don't need this. And my guy, Marvin J, he was like, hey, man, just come out to the event, man. What could it hurt to do it? I was like, all right, man, I'll come out there. And actually, before the event, my e-brake was non-existent. I didn't use e-brake at all. I just went fast, faint drift or whatever, brake drift. E-brake barely worked. And then Suinaga had everybody doing e-brake drills. Half the field, half the guys' e-brake didn't work. They had us like going into a little box, doing a J-turn, parking in there, going back around and everything. So we had to do stages. So actually I ended up being the last guy to get out of there because my e-brake sucked. And then I finally just got a shit ton of speed, pulled the e-brake, and I went in there and everything, parked, and got out to the next phase. And I was like, shit, man. I was like, I was feeling bad because I was the last guy to get out of there. But that event, man, I went from not having the e-brake or when to use it, to having a function of the e-brake and things like that. And there's different things out there. You don't rely on the e-brake. You don't drag on the e-brake. You see guys with these big ass choo-choo train, like they stop, they driving and they just like, they got one hand on the wheel and they're just holding their hand hovering over the e-brake. Like they're not comfortable. And I'm like, dude, if you're doing that much correcting, like you need to fix your car, man. Fix your alignment, fix something. E-brake is meant to initiate and correct, or extend. Those are the three things that I do for it. I don't do anything else. I hardly ever initiate. Initiating with an e-brake is generally like if you're doing low speed initiating e-brake, you're just not going fast enough. I would think what's one track? I would say maybe Suzuka. When they going down on the stretch and then they go. You can feint into it, but at about fourth gear, top of going into fifth. A feint is kind of dangerous at that point, so a lot of guys will go fast, e-brake to break traction, and then go into it around the Suzuka going down to the going towards the right. So there's different tracks, different things. There's some guys out there like guys out there. Luke Fink is an infamous guy who says he don't e-brake, he don't use e-brakes, and Luke is a fucking crazy dude, and he just throws it out there. You go fast like Luke, you don't need a fucking e-brake. But it's not a bad thing, and I know for sure Lucas used the e-brake to extend the drift, start a drift, and things like that. But it's different styles, so you shouldn't push your style on anybody. But there's just different ways to get things done and everything. So I'm like right at this point, man, I'm just kind of like rambling. The whole purpose of like this whole podcast is just kind of to bring light of the bring to light the whole situation with the the situation at Matsuri, and they're not playing around, man. They will cancel Matsuri, man. They don't need the money. Kumakubo does not need the money. He will, if he got to, people are going to come there and disrespect his shit. He has the right to do that. He's the boss of that place. He didn't open up his track and allow all these people in to throw shit around and disrespect this place and leave. If anybody came to my shop and left some shit around, I'll make them come back and pick that shit up. I'm like, seriously, man, like, you know what I mean? I'm not nobody's fucking maid. Like, I mean, there would probably be no situation where anybody would come to my shop and leave stuff like that. If anybody came to my shop, I would be like hosting like an event, and I would just designate trash cans. Hey, if you're eating pizza, toss the plates in here, toss the cups in here, plastic here, glass here, and we're done. So I know nobody's gonna leave shit around like that. And if they do, I mean, it's a little small shop. I can pick it up. But you got Ibisu, you got Higashi, you got Nishi, you got what is it? Kita course. You got all these different. You got 6 different courses, all these different pits, and it got the staff of the Ibisu got to go around and clean up all this shit. And it's never happened before, man. And I just, again, I'm going to have a podcast so I keep saying these new guys, and I got a guy coming in. He's one of the guys I'm going to have, and he's a new guy. I just kind of want to get the mindset of the newer guys, like what they think the scene is like, the drifting and stuff like that. I just, not saying the guys back in 09, I went there when loose guys, Alex and Stewie and all those guys, but those guys cleaned their shit up, and they didn't have issues like that, man. It's just like this new guys, they just really they have no regard for anybody else's shit but their own. And hardly that. So it's something that's just been transpiring new. It's just a new thing. This YOLO fucking shit. YOLO, all this other new shit that's coming out, man. Again, I'm only 36, man, but it seems like between a 36-year-old and a 23-year-old, there's this fucking big difference, man. Like, it's just a big difference of how they've been raised, what values they've been instaured. They don't know how to talk to grown men. They can't look people in the fucking eyes. They can't, there's a lot of different things that these young guys can't do. And when they come in my presence, man, I make sure they know, like, this is how you deal with grown men. This is how grown men communicate. You talk face to face. I'm not saying you got to like lock eyes the whole time. You can break contact, but as long as you're there, as long as you're talking. I'm talking to some young guys, man, and you're talking to them and you're giving them instructions at the counter, and they're like they're fucking looking all around and they're not looking at you. And I'm like, look, man, I'm giving you this fucking information. Like, for example, I have some car shipping issues, man. I give the guys information on my counter, all the stuff right there, and then when they leave, they just fucking brained up everything. And then when they get to the States, they send me all these fucking emails about shit I've already told to them. They send me emails, and the stuff that they send me emails about is actually written in black and white on the contract that I gave to them. Like, they don't read the stuff, man. Like, I don't know what it is about young guys, man, but you guys need to straighten the fuck up, because life ain't getting easier for you. You're going to get out there on your own, and the world's going to really slap the shit out you, man. Like, and it's probably been something that's been said, guys in the 20s to the 30s, guys in the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s. Of course, the older guys are going to feel like they are more apt to say what's going on because they're older, they're doing different things, they've been in that life longer than you, so they've had more life experiences and things like that. So, it's man, it's just common sense, man. Like people were saying all about this Matsuri shit, common sense is not common, everybody doesn't have it, but it's like, dude, those are your fucking tires, those are just trash, you spilled that oil, clean the shit up, leave it, how it was when you came there, and respect it, man. It's not really a respect Japan thing. It's just respect, sorry. It's just respect, Kumukubo-san, the staff there at the Bisu, and make sure you're taking care of what you got to take care of in order to make it better for the guys that are coming after you, because it only takes a group of people to ruin it for somebody else, and now let's close down. Again, it's not going to ruin it for me because I don't need Matsuri to go to the Bisu. I can go to Matsuri 7 days a week. I have that advantage. It's just I don't have the money to do it, and it wouldn't be to driving back and forth. But I live here, so it's not a big deal for me. If you guys want to see, everybody posts videos of Matsuri, and most all drifters want to experience it once. Whether it be, financial reasons, can't get off of work, things like that. They just can't get here, but they eventually like able to be here when they're able to get here. So it will suck for a guy that's saving. I know there's guys out there who are watching or whatever, who's saving up cash to eventually come, to be able to afford a car, to come to Matsuri. And what's to say, like, next year, the Kumukubo-san to say, fuck it, Matsuri's off. Now, that guy done saved all his money for, like, last 3 years, and now he can't go to Matsuri. And, yeah, he can still go to Ibisu, but, Matsuri, in a nutshell, I will say that the environment, when I first went, man, it was electric. Everybody was cool. People were being loose, but it was still controlled. And then there was that about 3 years ago or so, that they came out with after the woman died from the head trauma, Nico. They really got they really kind of start getting on safety. Different tracks that they make the walls higher. MSP was one that they make the walls higher. The what was it? The they Andy and those guys, like the car had to look like the missile thing. It was getting out of control. So they had to scale that back and things like that. So it's just a lot of different things that happen as a result of rules changes. So it's kind of like a lot of knee-jerk reaction things that are going on. And it's how business works. I mean, something happens, you fix it. And that's the thing about all businesses. Nothing is, if a business is set in stone, they're doing something that's very simple, something that doesn't grow. But if you're handling like a live beast with it, Matsuri, there's going to be, all right, guy roll over like last year the dude rolled over and he was paralyzed. Now, I believe all power vehicle cars got to have cages. And I don't know if a BCU's made it where everybody has to have it, but it was a power vehicles. It was a gaijin that happened. He was a power vehicles customer. And as a result, they had to make sure every car from this point on has cages in it. So that's been a thing going around. Guys trying to get cages and things like that. Cages price has went up. Saito cages raised the price up because it's business. There's a price in supply and demand. So now all the cages that used to be $400 and now $600. So cages prices are going up. Things like that. Knee-jerk reaction. So business moves, evolves, and guys are going to do what they got to do to protect their business. And you got to understand that. My business. My directives are pretty solid. They change, as I get bigger, but some things happen. Business is going to grow, business is going to change. You just got to adhere to what's being put out there. And you got to understand their business owners are going to have their best interests in mind, not yours. You're going to buy a product or receive the product. You're going to get that product that's been put out there. As long as you get what you paid for in perspective, it's all good. But, you got to understand, man, these guys are not going to deal with this shit. They're losing money. Like, for example, if the event ended on a Sunday, which I think it did, they already had guys coming in the next day. So say like if somebody had reserved Higashi or reserved Nishi, now they got to clean all that shit out before that team gets there that reserved that stuff out, because now they're going to be coming into a bunch of shit. So now they got stuff in the pits. They can't get their cars in there. Now their schedule is fucked up. So this thing is bigger than picking up your trash, man. It trickles down. It affects everybody. So when I get there and I rented out Higashi, now I got to wait for them to clean up that shit. Now it's fucking up my schedule. Now it's messing up my customer schedule. So you guys got to understand, man, this is, even with my business, man, it really affects things. Your lack of preparation or lack of competency, lack of anything is going to mess up my business, is going to mess up somebody else's chain of events, is going to mess up my personal life, it's going to mess up somebody else's personal life, things like that, man. You guys got to really think, man. It's just everything that everybody does in this world is connected to everybody. So, even me, a person that kind of I live my life not depending on people. But you got to depend on people. I mean, it's part of life. You can be less dependent upon people, but you still have to depend on people. And that's just a part of life. Unless you want to go live in the woods or some shit, whatever. At that point, even the guy that's living in the woods, you're still depending on something. You're depending on animals for the food. You're depending on whatever you got to depend on. Nobody on this world is alone, to be honest. As much as some people would like to be, as much as I like to be alone, I know I'm not alone in this world. So just kind of like, ending the podcast on like a droopy moment. Just know, man, take care of your AOR, your area responsibility, and everything will be good, man. Take care of all the stuff you got to do out there. So again, this is just, I just wanted to get this out because everybody has their thoughts about what's going on about this whole BC Matsuri thing. And different things in Japan. I'm a dude in Japan with boots on the ground. I've been here 11 years. I've done my time. I have the rights to say what I'm going to say because again, I've been living here for 11 years. I've been living here for, some guys say I was military. I got here in 2008. I got out of the military in 2012. So that was 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, roughly 5.5 years. I was supported on a government. But since that point, 2012, August 1st, 2012, I've been on my own. I mean, I worked for the government, but I was still on my own in Japan. I didn't have the government support really. And from 2016, 2016, really like pull away because I stopped working on base. But even still, as a contractor, you don't have that coverage as a military member, active military member. So, I mean, I've been here living in Japan, you know, doing the thing. I got the visa. I'm on a 5-year visa now. I finished up my 3-year visa. So, yeah, man, I definitely have the right to say how things are. And again, if you come in here and you have intentions to fuck stuff up, it's just not cool, man. Like, it's just rethink what you're doing, because you're fucking it up for all the Gaijins that put in their time and they have nothing but, you know, they're raising families here in Japan, and they have nothing but good intentions for Japan. So you come in here, you're setting us back, man. You're setting us back. It doesn't matter, white, black, Greek, Hispanic, whatever. If you're Gaijin in Japan, your last name ain't Tanaka, as I always say, blood sport joke right there. You're not Japanese. You're not Japanese. I don't care how much Japanese you speak, how many Japanese friends you have, how many Japanese girlfriends you bang, how many Japanese boyfriends you bang, whatever your preference is. If you're not Japanese, you're not Japanese. Done. So that's how I'll end on, man. So just take care of your stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast around. I'm about at 5,600 subscribers. I really don't push it that much, man. You know, if it grows, it grows. I want my growth to be organic. I will never pay for those stupid ads. You know, pay for likes and stuff, like pay for, you know, subscribers, because they find that stuff out and you get banned for that stuff now, because, you know, whatever. But yeah, you know, it'll grow naturally. I'm not gonna do anything outrageous to make that happen. It'll just grow naturally. So if you want to subscribe, do so. If you don't, you just listen to me for almost an hour or whatever. About a good hour almost. You just listen to me rant and then you don't subscribe. It's like, you just waste your time. So go ahead and subscribe, man. You know, I'll keep it real. Keep it real and uncut. Even if you see cuts in my podcast, it's not because I cut something out. It's because I had like a technical glitch and I don't want to air that in the podcast, you know, whatever. So thanks again for tuning in. It's going to be podcast 31. Again, if you guys want to get the CBD oil right here that I've been having to sit on the table the whole time by Hot Light, you guys want to order it through me, get with me, I can order it. For base military guys, I think you're not allowed to have CBD oil on base because it does have 0.3% trace of THC, which is illegal. So you can't do it. So I'm not really pushing to you guys. If anybody else in Masawa who wants to get CBD oil, get with me and I'll get you down. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be podcast number 31. Daniel Jackson signing off from Pinku Style Garage from South Japan. I'll see you guys later. Peace.